I know he did.
He's heard us, heard a tragic thing today. I didn't know, I guess I did, but that I always admired Jackman.
Yeah?
And he did a Broadway show with recently, Music Man, with Sutton Foster. Apparently, they got it on. He divorced his wife of many years. Thought that they were a cool couple.
Wow.
Well, that's like when I was on the TV show Survivor, and Mark Burnett is married to two kids.
Have a seat, fellas.
What?
Have a seat. Oh, he's still fixing himself?
Yeah, he's fixing himself. So, the first show was Borneo, River Jazz. The second one was Australia. I was the third show, Africa. Well, after the second show was the most viewed finale in the history of Survivor, 52 million people. Was the finale of Australia. So that's when CBS decided to buy Survivor from Mark Burnett. So they sent him a Mercedes with $1 million cash in his glove compartment, in the thing, and all of a sudden he got too big for his britches. And he divorced his wife, 2 kids. Jeff Probst, the same thing. He was a struggling nothing. His wife was supporting him. He got the host job. Then he started dating some of the contestants. It's just a mess. I've been married 45 years. I don't even think along those lines.
Yeah, me neither, but Paul Salas, I don't know if you remember Paul Salas. Paul Salas was on the first, okay. Can't look it up here and do it.
Yeah,
I can't do it. How many people do you know that actually tie one of those things?
You're 1 or 2.
Yeah. And,
I have one friend who can tell it, and I said, I don't even.
yeah, I learned how to do it in 5 minutes.
Did you really?
Yeah. Yeah, I tried looking online, and trying to do what they did, couldn't do it. Looking in the mirror, I
You
can't.
look
do it.
good. You look sharp.
Pleasure.
Oh, yeah. The secrets. That cool?
Is that a real one?
Yeah, it's camel shorts.
Oh, because I have prop ones that actually smoke.
I don't smoke, nothing touches mine, never smoke, never will.
Yep, same
But
here.
it just sits there on my fingers like this.
Oh, wow.
But
So I'm going to introduce him as Eric Richardson first.
you can't,
Well, just
you can't,
do whatever way you want.
Do whatever I want.
you can't,
Okay.
smoke these things. This pack of cigarettes has lasted me probably 12, 15 years. Because what I do is put them in, I load them in there. I do the old trick of taking a drop of Elmer's glue in each end. It dries clear, and then it keeps the tobacco from drying out and falling out.
That's smart. That's very smart.
It lasts forever.
All right.
Unless I bump into some overly aggressive female fan.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
Oh, get out of here.
Here comes the music.
Dean always went home to his wife.
No, I heard a lot about Dean and Frank.
Should I sit down?
Yeah, you can sit down.
I don't know how you do this thing,
You're just going to follow me. It's easy.
Follow you?
It's going to be easy.
But you're sitting down. Where are you going?
I'm not going anywhere.
I follow you if you're not going anywhere.
You watch. Make sure my phone's off. Your phone was ringing.
It was?
Yeah.
Shouldn't even be on. It might be buzzing.
Oh, it was buzzing. It wasn't ringing. It was buzzing.
You want me to buzz it off? You want me to turn it off?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep.
Next guest doesn't even know he's here.
Hey, we're back. Good night, Orlando. This is Tonight Orlando with your host, Dr. Carl. And boy, am I excited today. The guest I have on the show is Dino. Dean Martin is in the house.
Why, am I in town?
Are you in town?
Am I in town?
You're looking good, Dean.
Not bad for a dead guy.
Not bad for a dead guy. This is Mr. Eric Richardson. He's an artist and a tribute actor to Dean Martin. He sings, he does everything. And now he's here on our show, Tonight Orlando.
Yep.
You don't chase women, do you?
Chase golf balls and
Golf
women.
balls?
And women.
So let me ask you, you've been in the Academy, the Summit Group. Is that your own
The Summit
company?
Tribute Group is my group. I've got about 12 different members of the Summit Tribute Group, 6 different presidents. Harrison Ford, 2 of his roles. Gregory Peck, several of his roles. And Dean Martin.
And you actually paired with Jerry Lewis at one time, didn't you?
Started out that way. The first time I ever did Dean Martin was with a friend of mine by the name of Matt Macis, and we started out doing Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis.
What inspired you to do that?
The crooner and the comic.
What inspired you to be a tribute artist for Dean Martin?
Somebody told me I sounded like Dean Martin.
Really? Yeah. How old were you?
And how old was I? It was 2008. 2008, somebody said, they're having an audition. They're having an audition in New York.
Okay.
For a Broadway show based on the Rat Pack.
Wow.
And they said, you got to go there. So one of the actors from the Wire gave me a cigarette, and he said, you got to carry the cigarette because Dean always had a cigarette in his hand. So I went up there to audition for him, and they said, what are you going to sing for us? And I said, well, I'd like to sing a song. I couldn't find the music for it, but they had it.
What song was that?
Everybody loves somebody sometime. So I did the song. They thought I was crazy because I'd never done it with anybody or never heard it, never done it before in my life.
First time
I ever did it. And they finished the audition and they said, can you sing it again? Now, you don't do that in auditions. You don't get to sing again in an audition. And they said, I said, what was wrong with it the first time? So they said, we want to hear Eric sing it. I said, Eric who? And they said, isn't your name Eric Richardson? I said, yeah. And they said, we want to hear Eric sing it. And I said, I just did. No, Dean Martin just did it.
So they didn't believe that was your voice? No,
they didn't. They said, can you sing it? Can you sing it like Eric would sing it? And I thought, no, I can't do that because ever since I'm in high school trying to pick up girls, singing "Everybody Loves My Body Sometime," didn't work.
It didn't work?
Did not work.
Oh, you're killing me now. What do you mean it didn't work?
Didn't work. But I can remember watching the Dean Martin variety show with my parents. For 9 seasons, Dino was on TV, and but anyway, they said, "Well, we can't use you," and I said, "You can't use me for what?" I said, "Aren't you doing a Rat Pack?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "Could you please tell me why?" And they said, "Because you sound so much like Dean Martin that we're not sure we can find a Frank that sounds that much like Frank, a Sammy that sounds that much like Sammy, and we don't want people in the audience to be saying, why does he sound so much like Dean Martin? These other 2 jokers don't sound like anything."
You're kidding me. They really said. So what happened?
They never heard from him.
You didn't get the part?
Never did get the part.
Because you were too good.
I sounded like Dean.
Yeah, you were Dean.
Too much.
Wow.
But the show never made it to Broadway. So
Karma's a bitch, ain't it?
Yeah, you got it.
So how do you capture the essence of Dean Martin?
Am I still here?
Are you still here? Are you in town?
Yeah, I can.
You're killing me here,
Pick me up and put me back on a chair if I slide down.
Well, I've got some electrodes in the back. I'm getting you charged.
Yeah, I got you. Right. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Well, I was going to say, what kind of preparation or research do you do before you...
I've probably read every book about Dean Martin.
Every book?
Every book, and including his daughter's book, Dina.
Okay.
Beautiful Dina Martin.
Did you meet her?
Yeah, I've met her.
Wow.
I met her. I did. We were invited, as the crooner in the comic, we were invited to the Dean Martin Festival in Steubenville, the annual Dean Martin Festival in Steubenville, Ohio, which is Dean's hometown.
Right.
And we were invited to perform there. And we were just a year into this thing, and everybody loved us. Steubenville loved us. We rode in a limo and a convertible down the parade and everything, just like Dean and Jerry did in 1953. And
did you get a key to the city?
No, we didn't get no key to the city.
No. Maybe next time.
No, they locked their doors. They wouldn't let Dean in.
They wouldn't let Dean in, because of his reputation.
That's right.
So what did...
Yeah, see what I'm saying? So that's like, I'm thinking 5-minute segments, right? So I'm going to cut right there.
Okay.
But think about that, right? So that was a nice little button. So whenever there's like a little laugh or like a good moment, that's where I want to cut.
Okay.
So instead of me screaming at you and scaring you like I did,
Yeah.
hopefully it will work.
So what do you want me to do? Go back to the end?
Just hold that moment, and then I'll just go to black, and I'll go to
Okay.
red.
You need to put up one of the little red lights in here so you can flash.
Right, it's got the clock.
Yeah,
No, the clock. You could flash the light
Right.
and say, oh, "Okay, you're coming to the end of a segment, or whatever."
Yeah, but like you're gonna anticipate it organically.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, when you feel a button, just hold
Okay.
it.
But I play the piano. I don't play the organ.
But just have fun. So I would probably think of these segments as 2 or 3 questions at
Okay.
the most.
All right, perfect.
That way we have little teeny snippets.
Was that first one okay?
Yeah, it was great.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying.
All right.
Because it's great. I
Right.
want to find
Right. So when I bring it back, would I just say,
just don't even think about it. We catch it right in you're
Okay.
in the middle of an interview.
So then what happened?
Just start talking.
Okay.
Start talking.
Just
Ready?
So
talking.
in other words, what I would do, Carl.
Yeah.
You guys just shoot the shit.
Right.
And you just have 2 or 3 questions in
'Cause
your
the-
head.
okay, I know exactly what I want to do.
Talk about our breakup.
Yeah.
Huh?
don't-
The breakup.
The breakup?
Yeah, I broke up with the kid. The kid we broke up, and
You and Jerry Lewis.
yeah, and I had to go on my own, just like Dean and Jerry did. Just we followed.
Oh, the breakup in your group.
The crooner
Yeah,
and the
your
comic.
crooners.
We broke up.
You broke up.
Broke up just like Dean and Jerry did, and went their separate ways. And I continued as Dean.
And you're more successful
And
today.
I was more successful.
Isn't that eerie that Dean and Jerry broke up and then you and your group broke up?
Yeah, it was just the two of them. Yeah.
Just the two of you. So what is your favorite Dean Martin movie?
Were we rolling?
Yeah, we're always rolling.
We here?
What you
Wait.
just did?
What?
That's great.
Yeah.
We here?
Right.
Yeah.
Get rid of
Oh, we're
those
back.
notes. Get rid of the notes.
Get rid of the notes?
The notes aren't upstaging you.
Can I ask-
Your
can-
focus on your body language is.
Can I?
coming out.
Mine?
Can I?
What?
Can I ask you a question?
You can ask me a
Yeah.
question.
Where's Doc Severinsen?
He's in the bathroom. He's on the toilet. Doc's in the
Hey,
bathroom.
Doc, what are you doing? Want to sing a song later?
No, you know what happened? He ate some
What?
of my Italian red sauce.
Yeah.
Not gravy.
Sauce gravy. What do you think, Ed? Oh, is he still here?
No, he's gone.
Oh, that's a different guy.
So you didn't have an Ed in your crooner group?
No,
No.
no.
You just had Sammy,
Sammy.
Frank.
No, this
No,
wasn't.
Frank.
This wasn't the Rat Pack.
So what was it?
It was Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis.
That's it.
It was the crooner and the comic.
the-
And then we split up. And then I had to go out on my own. I was forced to go out on my own, and it was scary.
I was going to say, were you nervous?
It was yeah,
How were you received?
yeah. Well,
Well,
yeah, I was
as long as you had that glass in your hand, right?
I could blame it on being drunk. That's all I had to do. That was one of the fun things about the Dean Martin variety show. Now Dean never rehearsed.
He ad-libbed everything, didn't he?
And they didn't ad lib it.
No?
Now everything was off a cue card.
Really?
What they did was all week, the week before they shot it,
Okay.
they shot the TV show. All of his guests would be there for a week rehearsing
Wow.
with the Gold Diggers, with everybody else involved, and it ticked off many of the celebrities because they thought they were going to be rehearsing with Dean, and they weren't. They weren't. It was his stand. He had a stand-in who was what was his name? Ken Lane. Good grief! Now I care. Lee Hale. Lee Hale was his music director, and he would walk around, and they would scope out everywhere where Dean was going to be on a stage, right? And then Dean would show up. Dean would be rehearsing his songs at home. He'd go over his songs, and they have a cue card. They have a cue card up there for him. And when he came in on the day of the shoot, they were going to have 2 times, 2 run-throughs.
Okay.
One for real and one before that for rehearsal.
Okay.
They had a studio audience they'd bring in for the first one. And then at the end of the first one, they'd take that studio audience out and bring in a fresh one that had never heard it before.
Wow.
But Dean, they found with Dean, when he come in, and the Gold Diggers, they would push him around. No, Dean, you got to go here, there. And he would screw up.
Really?
And he would screw up, and he was so funny because he'd stop, he'd look up, and he'd say, "Don't just look down here watching the show. Help me out, will you, Pally?" He's talking to God, getting God to help him out. And the audience would just roar. Now the second show would come. Dean would come out, and he would do his thing, but now he was stale because he knew what was coming.
Right.
Remember the scene where he came out and jumped on the piano, and the piano crashed out
Yeah.
from underneath him?
Couldn't do that a second
He
time.
didn't know that was going to happen.
Oh, he didn't know that was
No,
going to
he
happen.
did not know that was
Wow.
going to happen. It was all...
I can't believe everything was so rehearsed like that.
The only person who did not rehearse, because if Dean wouldn't rehearse Frank refused to. And if Frank was on the show, Frank said, no, I'm just going to show up.
So he didn't look at cue cards, Sinatra didn't do any of that.
Sinatra had cue cards and everything.
But he wouldn't rehearse.
No, he wouldn't rehearse. If Dean can do it, I can do it.
Wow.
Dean would be singing a song. You could see him. You could see him sitting there singing to the camera, and you could see him doing this, looking off to the side, and you could see him reading. You knew he was reading cue cards, and he'd be singing, "Blue moon, you saw me standing alone, without a tear in my heart." He's reading the lyrics. "Without a love of my own," and all of a sudden you see a little twinkle in his eye,
Right.
and he's reading ahead, and he sees that. And then there suddenly appeared before me the only one my arms could ever hold. I heard somebody whipser, please adore me. Whipser. It says whipser on the cue card. WHIPSER. And you put it on there like that, I'm going to sing it like that.
And he would say that in the show, just like that.
In the show, just like it's on. You can see it. You can see it on YouTube. Whipser. And then he would go, "Blue moon." The orchestra keeps playing. Now I'm no longer alone without a dear in my heart. He didn't care. And one time I talked to one of the gold diggers. I guess I could say this.
You met the gold diggers?
One of them.
Just one?
Yeah. Talked to one of the gold diggers out in California. I won't say her name because she told me a story. And Dean's sitting there, and he's sitting there looking at the camera, right? And all of a sudden you see him going like this. And he's still singing. He hasn't broke a beat. He's so professional. He doesn't broke a beat. He's going like this and singing the song. And finally, he puts his hand up like this. Something's going on in the wings that the audience can't see, but he can. And he's going like this. And he's finishing the song over. So this lady, she says, "Any question you have, you ask me." And I said, "What was that all about?" She says, and I said, "Are you still there?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm here." And I said, "So you don't know what was?" She says, "I know what was going on." And I said, "What was going?" I said, "What was going on?" I said, "Was it Frank doing something in the wings, trying to bust his chops or something, or his family or somebody crew guy?" She says, "No, it was us." I says, "Us who?" She said, "The gold diggers." We'd finished doing the opening number, and we were changing for our next number in the dressing room, and we come out with our robes on and stand there with shaking our boobies.
Wow.
Out. And he's sitting there trying to sing a song and with all these boobs down there next to him. She says, sometimes we'd come out and you know what a waist shot is, right?
Yes.
We'd come out, you couldn't see below his waist.
Right.
We'd come out and throwing bras and panties at his feet.
Oh,
and he'd be dancing
God.
back trying to get in the audience in hysterics because of
Wow.
that. She said, we were always messing with him and he was such a sweet guy.
That's great. Let's hold that thought because I got a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
About
Okay.
a couple of seconds we'll talk about.
Okay.
Okay?
Cool. Good. Yeah, so just say a couple seconds and we'll be back.
That's it. Yep. Okay.
Was that good stuff?
That was great
Are
stuff.
you kidding me?
Stuff? Because
You even sound like him when you start singing.
It's phenomenal.
Wait till you see what he puts together.
I can't help it when I'm in Dean mode.
Well, that's why you're so good.
Mood. I talk like Dean. The first year that I was doing Dean, my kids at the dinner table would say, "Dad, could you please talk like Dad?"
Eric Richardson, like Dad.
Like Dad instead of Dean Martin all the time. Because you had to do it. I had to immerse myself.
Right.
So well, that's probably should have used that. Immerse myself in
we're using it.
the role.
Because we're back.
Oh, we're back?
We're back. We're always back. We didn't leave. Are you in town?
Still?
Still in town.
Yeah.
You're killing me here. You're still in town.
Yeah.
What is your favorite song? Because I know what my favorite Dean Martin song is.
I have a lot of them, and of course everybody thinks that everybody loves somebody's got to be the song.
That's not mine.
My favorite song is "Welcome to my world, won't you come on in? Miracles, I guess, still happen now and then." I did it at my daughter's wedding.
Did you really?
The father-daughter dance.
Wow.
With my daughter singing that song.
That had to be special.
My
That
beautiful
had to be real
daughter,
special.
Erin. Yes, I did.
So what do you think is my favorite song?
How many songs did you think he had?
Lots.
600.
Yeah, I know. I like
600.
Amore. That's Amore.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie.
Hey, when you're Italian, that's what it is. That's Amore.
When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine.
Yeah.
That's the moment.
That's Italians. That's why we played
but
it
the
every
question
game.
is, do you like the fast version or the slow version?
I like the slow version.
Because I like the one where when the moon hits your eye like a big
I didn't even know-
pizza pie.
I haven't
that's
heard
the
that
moment.
version.
I have to do it for you sometime.
Oh, you got to do it for me.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the and Volare. Remember Volare?
Yes.
That's another one of my favorite songs.
Yes, I love
Yeah,
it.
when I grew up, this is the stuff I heard because we used to watch the Dean Martin
The
Variety.
Dean Martin Variety show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And then
Just asked him if he remembered Volare. He's Dean Martin impersonated. You asked him.
Well, I did that on purpose.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how many people ask me, did you know that Dean never drank?
I know.
I said, I've been, okay, I'll ask you a question. Do you know what he drank when he was on stage? Ginger ale? No. They said apple juice? You're close. He didn't drink apple juice? He drank Martinelli
Nelly's
apple juice.
Italian apple juice.
That's all he ever drank. Was
What about
Martinelli.
smoking? What did he smoke?
Coffin nails, camel shorts.
He really did smoke camel shorts.
Camel shorts.
Wow.
And that's what did him in. Emphysema.
Emphysema did it in.
Yeah.
He was a chain smoker, wasn't he?
Christmas Day, 1995, gone.
Wow.
He smoked two cartons a day.
Wait a minute. 1 or 2 cartons a day?
He'd sometimes have a cigarette in both hands because he didn't realize it.
See, my father smoked 3 to 4 packs a day, and I thought that was a lot. You're telling me 1 to 2 cartons? is what-
At least one carton a day.
Wow. You talk about a habit.
Before one was out, he'd be on to another one.
Yep, just constant.
And still that voice was more. Don't kill me for this, but I believe in my heart Dean Martin had a better voice than Frank Sinatra.
You know what? I tend to agree a little bit with you because I listen to more of Dean's. Frank
was a wonderful technician.
Right.
Frank could phrase a song. He could tell a story with a song. He could do. And it was nice. I liked Frank when he was younger.
I was going to just say, I saw when he was older.
My favorite Frank Sinatra song is oh, come on, I'm going to have to cut this one. I'm going to say this one again. My favorite Frank Sinatra song is I'll never smile again.
Oh, really?
Until I smile at you. The first song he ever recorded with the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra.
That's the first song with the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra.
And every time I see it, there was a TV show, movie that came out, a made-for-TV movie about Frank Sinatra once, and he's on stage singing that song. I'll never smile again. He looks at the back of the room, and Ava Gardner walks in.
Oh, wow.
And that was the love.
That was the love of his life, wasn't it?
She was a goddess to him. Nobody ever messed with Ava.
Oh, nobody did, huh?
Well, somebody did, and almost again.
I was trying to wrap it up because it's a great segment, but we got a big lawnmower.
Oh,
I hear that lawnmower.
yeah. I was looking at the clock and said we only went for like.
No.
Yeah, trim my hedges while you're at it.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be for a while, isn't it? Where was I going? Oh, yeah. See, Frank was the kind. We could talk about this again when he gets going again. Frank Sinatra was. I can listen to Frank for 15, 20 minutes. I can listen to Dean all day.
Oh, interesting.
Because he's so smooth and laid back, and it's just Dean is, first words I ever said when I was a kid.
Was what?
Pabo.
What?
Pabo.
Pabo?
Pabo.
What does that mean?
I was sitting in front of a TV set watching Perry Como.
Oh,
Pabo.
Pabo.
Pabo. Perry Como, who was hardly ever standing up. They thought he was dying all the time because he was so laid back. He was more laid back than Dean.
Was he really?
Oh, yeah. They did a skit on Saturday Night Live once with them impersonating him, and he kept singing a song and sliding farther down on the mic stand until finally he was laying flat on his back on the stage.
Are you serious?
And he went like this. He's singing.
He fell asleep.
Microphone. No, they thought he was dead.
Okay.
And they came in with a blanket and put the blanket over his body. And all of a sudden, he sits up singing under the blanket again because he was just asleep.
Unbelievable. That's a good. So how do most audiences react to you when you're portraying Dean Martin? Because you sound so good, and even when you was doing the singing just now, it's told, if I close my eyes, I'm like, wow, is that Dean?
I was told by a gentleman who owned a cigar store. He had a lounge, or a class cigar establishment. He hired me to come in, and it was only men.
Only
there might
men.
have been one woman in the background, And he comes up to me afterwards. He says, I don't know how you do it. And I said, do what? He says, you are so engaging. Use the word engaging.
Okay.
You engage the audience so well. Those men were eating it up.
Wow.
Eating you up. And he said, I can tell what you're going to do to women. But you know the old saying, somebody attributed it to Frank, but it wasn't Frank, it was Dean. Every man wanted to be Dean Martin.
Right.
Every woman wanted to be with Dean Martin.
So did you have a lot of women chasing you as a Dean Martin tribute artist?
Don't know. I just ignore them. I'm married. I got my wife, my beautiful wife, Patty.
How long you been married?
46 consecutive years.
Wow. We're in the same ballpark. I'm 45.
78. I got married in 78.
I got married in 80.
Yeah, so that's
Wow.
close. Yeah.
Unbelievable. With that, we're going to take a short break.
Oh, I thought we were.
No, we never take a break. Are you in the house? Where are you? What are you doing to me here?
Am I still here?
Yeah, where's your drink?
Where? I don't know. You didn't offer me one.
I think our producer took it away from you. We were worried.
Told me I couldn't bring it on anymore.
Yeah, well, the producer
He
gets
said
upset
the
over
last
that.
time you were in here, you started a fire. You flicked a live ash into it, and it. Poof.
Oh, we got a mug here. We'll go over our mug a little bit later. Oh,
Yeah.
Catalyst Studios.
Yeah. Is that an Italian mug?
No, my producer's not Italian. I bring Italian food, though.
Well, what's in it?
Oh, you'll see at the end of the show
doesn't that
what's
make
in
it
it.
an Italian mug?
Yeah,
Okay.
not an Italian mug.
Okay.
What's the matter?
I'm gonna get some.
Oh, he's going to get you a mug.
Oh, I don't have to get me no mug. Now, if we do this mug thing, I'm going to have the mug, and I'll be sipping from it. You can put water in it if you want. I'll be sipping from it. But eventually, you're going to say, what do you got in that mug?
Okay.
And you'll take the mug, like Johnny Carson did,
Right.
and take a sip from
Okay.
Yeah, this looks benign, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can pull these out from the back.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think a little drinking section would.
No, this should be sitting there like I came home with it.
Yeah.
Oh, you want it out there then?
You
Did
want
you
an
want
aspirin too?
Should be
Yeah,
right
yeah.
out there. No, I don't ever take the cigarette out of my hand. You know, every once in a while, I just take the mug and take a sip.
Just gotta go away.
And I'm drinking from this side,
Okay.
so you can drink from the other side.
What are you, an anti-dentite?
You're. Hey, what's the? What product is it? I heard it, my dentist keeps telling me. What product is the dentist's best friend, the best moneymaker for the dentist?
The product?
Yeah, he says. What makes you? He says. What? You know what makes me more money than any other product that's out there?
What is it, the whitening?
No,
What?
not a product. A consumable. Popcorn. He says popcorn makes me more money because of all the kernel crap that gets stuck in your gums
And he's not-
and tears you up.
Not only that, it causes tumor. It'll cause like an abscess.
Yeah.
I had a patient where I did beautiful implants on.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
About a month later, she calls me up because all my patients had my cell phone number. She calls me up. She goes, Dr. B, I got an abscess. How can you have an abscess? You have implants. I said, just come to the office. I'll check it out. She was blown up. She got popcorn kernels slipped through the gum. Those little thin kernels stick through the gum.
That come through.
And I had to numb her up,
Yeah.
anesthetizer. And when I pulled it out, everything went down. She goes, oh my God, popcorn
So
kernels.
stop
Yeah.
eating popcorn.
But
I eat it. I eat it once in a while, but I don't
eat
eat it
popcorn
much.
all the time, but I don't have an issue with it.
Well, that's what he told me. Stop eating popcorn. But anyway, I got tired of going to the dentist that I didn't go to the dentist for like 25 years.
That's okay.
And all I do is clean my teeth
Yeah.
because my teeth were like rocks. But anyway, this dentist, I love when you're sitting there and he's got his technician going on and he's going, tree.
Yeah, we're measuring your gums.
Measuring the gums, tree. A year ago, it was 4, 5.
Yeah.
For the last time I went, there was only 1 4. Everything else was 3 2s.
That's good.
2s and stuff. He says, I've done my job.
Yep.
And I said, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going every 6 months, boy.
Yeah. I go every 3 months at my age and check it because I have a couple of implants.
Yeah.
And mine are always like 2s, a couple of 3s. And if you get anything like a 4 or 5, there's things we can put in there that heals it up right away.
Yeah.
So-
well, anyway, hey, guess what? It stopped.
It stopped.
Cool.
So you're back. You're in town.
Yes.
Good.
Are we going to beat this joke to death?
We're going to beat the heck out of it.
Okay, we're going to beat the heck out of it. Hi.
Who you waving to out there?
I don't know.
She's nice though, isn't she?
Yeah, she's nice.
Yeah, well,
Dean walks up to Frank one time on the stage, and he's got a drink in his hand, and he goes up and says, "Hey Frank, when you get finished this song, let's go down the hall. There's a bartender down there. You got to see." And Frank says, "Dean, I'm right in the middle of a set. Can't you wait?" And he said, "No, man, you got to come and see this girl. She's got a set on her like you wouldn't believe." And he says, "Come on, Frank, let's go get us a drink." And Frank says, "Dean, you have a drink in your hand." "What? You have a drink in your hand?" "Oh, is that my hand?" Dean says, "You know who Pat Boone is, right?"
yeah.
Dean says, "You ever meet Pat Boone?"
I've never met Pat Boone.
If you ever meet Pat Boone, do not shake his hand.
Why?
I shook his hand once. My whole right side sobered up for a week.
Oh my God. He's that straight, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's that straight. Dean was fun. Dean. Okay. One of the Dean's mentors. When he broke up with Jerry, he was a singer. He didn't know what he was going to do. Jerry was the comic.
Right.
Right. Dean, all he could do was sing.
He was the crooner.
And he was the street man for Jerry's antics. So he's sitting with a friend in his house and commiserating. What am I going to do now? I guess I got to go out to Vegas and be another lounge singer, just another lounge singer. You know, with all the fame and the money and everything, they were the greatest comedy team in the history of entertainment. Martin and Lewis, the greatest. And they were acknowledged. They made more money than Abbott and Costello.
Really?
More money,
More
yes,
money than Abbott and Costello.
They were the top box office of all of the comedy teams. Hope and Crosby, all those guys. He didn't know what he was going to do. So he said, "I guess we're going to have to go out there and do that." And his friend said, Do you remember? He said, "I'll be like everybody else." And his friend said, "Do you remember a movie you made with Jerry called The Stooge?"
The Stooge, yeah, I remember that.
And Dean said, "Yeah, I remember that. I remember all the films that I made with Jerry. What's your point?" He says, "What were you in that film?" He says, "I was a Las Vegas lounge singer." He said, "Well, what kind? What was it about you that made you different?" He says, "I don't know. I was drunk all the time." Oh, light bulb's going off now. So he goes to a friend of his named Joe E. Lewis, a comedian, old Chicago comedian, right? You know all those guys, right? And he was always, Joey Lewis was like, "It's post time." That was always all the drinking jokes. And Dean would say, in words of the great Joey Lewis, "You're not really drunk if you can lay on the floor without holding on." That's my kind of man. That's my kind of guy.
So that's how he got started with the
He gave him all the jokes, the drunkie. And the thing is with Dean, and what bothers me about so many Dean Martin impersonators, I don't call myself an impersonator, I call myself a tribute artist.
Tribute artist, yes.
But impersonators, the first thing they do, "I am Dean Martin."
Yeah, that's
You know, and they're sloppy, they're just sloppy drunk. Dean was so refined. He was like, people in the audience would sit there and they'd turn around and look at "Do you think he's had a drink or two?" They wouldn't be, "Oh, it's a shame that he's so drunk the way he is." It was like,
they couldn't tell.
"Are you sure he's not been drinking?" Because Dean was always that slightly tipsy looking.
But he was always pretty sharp too.
Oh,
he was a class act.
Because he wasn't drunk.
Right, I know. But then that's not the persona.
It was all
so
an act.
the Stooge started that persona
That's
of
what
him
it
being
was
a drunk.
It was from the Stooge that he picked that to do.
So
You know Joey Lewis, you might find this interesting.
who's this?
Joey Lewis was the comedian.
I don't know him.
Okay, he was the comedian that taught Dean all the drunky things. Okay. He was a big name in Chicago, and he was the comedian, the house comedian at a mob bar in
Al Capone's bar, probably.
No, he was another
mobster.
Another mobster. He was another mobster's bar, and Capone wanted him in his bar.
Wow.
And he says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Capone. I like it where I am. I'm happy where I am." Well, two of his henchmen heard this and thought, "We're going to do a favor to our boss and teach this mook a lesson."
Mook, there's a word.
So they broke into his apartment. They beat him senseless. They slit his throat.
Joe Louis.
Joey Lewis.
Wow, Joey Lewis. They slit his throat.
Slit his throat. And then, because he disrespected their boss, Al Capone. Capone heard about it, sent somebody over there, got him to a hospital, saved his life. But he always talked weird from the rest of his life.
True story, huh?
Because he cut his throat.
Wow.
One of those two mobsters became Frank Sinatra's buddy, Sam Giancana.
I was going to just bring up Sam Giancana.
Sam Giancana was one of the guys that almost killed.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, there's stories all over the place.
Oh, there is. There's stories with the Marilyn Monroe thing.
We're not going to go into that.
You don't want to go into that, huh?
No, we'll talk about that later off the air. But what was the other one? God, he just blew it out of my head.
Yeah, Sam Giancana, Al Capone, the whole group there.
He's calling the time. Yeah.
We're going to talk about that because I'd like to touch upon Marilyn Monroe, but we're going to take a break because I loved Marilyn Monroe.
I'm not sure you can hear that. If you're talking about what I'm thinking, what? Do I?
I'm trying to cut black.
No, he's just giving us a bit more.
And then come back up. Trying to cut the second.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No, we're back.
we're back.
We're back.
We're back.
Yeah, just
We didn't go anywhere.
You're not talking about them trying to trap John Kennedy at the Cal Neva Lodge.
Oh, yeah. No, that I didn't know.
The Cal Neva Lodge. When
No.
They
Wait, where was this lodge?
Cal Neva.
Cal Neva?
In
By Lake Tahoe?
Yes, the Cal Neva Lodge.
Okay.
Which Sam Giancana owned,
Okay.
but Frank Sinatra was
The headliner.
not the headliner. He was the owner. He was the owner because you couldn't get a gaming license if you had mob connection.
So Sinatra was the owner.
Sinatra was the owner. Dean had a part interest in it.
Wow.
And one day, Dean Martin was sitting in the coffee shop having his pasta for lunch, and these two goons come in to an almost empty coffee shop and plop down at the table with Dean. And Dean looks up at him and says, what's up, boys? And they said, Dean, Mr. Giancana is having a party. Mr. Giancana requests that you come and perform at his party in Chicago. And Dean says, when is this party? And they said, such and such a date. Dean says, sorry, can't make it. And they said, no, you don't understand, Dean. Mr. Giancana requests that you be at this affair. Dean says, and you don't understand. I have a contract with the MGM in Vegas during that period of time, and I'm working in Vegas. I do not have that opportunity to come to that. And they said, he's your boss. You do what he says. And Dean says, nobody is my boss. He owned 2%. Dean owned 2% of the thing. And they said, Mr. Giancana is not going to be happy. So those two left, go back to Chicago. Dean goes into Frank's office and says, give me my money back. I'm out. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I'm not having anything to do with this.
True story. Wow.
True story. What happened? Meanwhile, so Frank did. So Dean no longer, he performed there.
Right.
He has his own office, still has his own office there. You can go and see these offices. You can go there.
Today.
They still had the offices set up for Dean, Frank, and Sammy that just the way they were in these cottages, because they had cottages around. So anyway, he goes to the boys, go back to Chicago and go to see Sam Giancana and said, guess like I said, that rat bastard Martin, Dean Martin, refuses to perform for you at the party. And they said, let us take care of him. And in fact, let us take care of all of them, because both those Dagos are not
Whoa.
Yeah, and you know Dean would always say, I can call Frank a Dago, and he can call me a Dago.
But nobody else can call us
anybody
that.
else calls a Dago, and it's a fight.
Yep.
Right? Well, anyway, they said, let us take care of him. And Sam Giancana sat back in his chair. Nah. They make me laugh.
Seriously.
And that was the end of the end of it.
So how are they going to trap Marilyn Monroe?
I'm not sure you're going to want to put this in your thing. And this is a story that I've heard that I cannot verify, but it's just stories that are legends that I've heard. They were trying to trap. They were speaking of traps. There were trap doors in the floor of each of these
Cottages?
Cottages.
Really?
At Calneva. You can still see them. You could go down into a tunnel
Right.
and come up in another cottage without anybody seeing you go between the cottages.
That's amazing.
So one of the cottages was going to be for John Kennedy,
Okay.
and one of the cottages was going to be where Marilyn Monroe was. And because they were having their thing,
Right.
he was going to go down and come up into her thing.
What? This is fascinating as heck. I haven't heard
and
this.
they mounted, Giancana mounted a camera in the ceiling over the bed, Marilyn's bed, and he was going to videotape the whole thing,
Wow.
right? They got her drugged.
Right.
They got her drugged up. She doesn't know about the
Right.
cameras. Got her drugged up so she'd be more pliable.
Right.
Kennedy didn't show up.
Wow.
Kennedy did not show up. So Giancana says, I got this all set up. She's pliable. I'm going to do it. And he went in and did it and did a number on Marilyn on camera.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is true.
Who
You don't
knows?
know.
I wasn't there. Were you?
No. But do you know how Marilyn died?
I know how she supposedly died. That she was, the ambulance came and took her away.
Right.
And they brought her back. They brought her back dead and put her in the bed. So we'd be discovered the next day that they had shot. What did they do? They shot air up her vagina or something.
Suppository.
Well, okay, same close.
No, different. You know, because
But it was done by the Secret Service.
Right.
So we can't say that because I don't have the Secret Service banging on the doors.
They're not going
here.
to bang on the door. They don't even exist anymore. But I wrote in 1971. I wrote
The
a
last
paper.
person to talk to her
Was who?
was
Peter Lawford, right?
No. The last person that was known to see her alive and talk to her alive was Robert Kennedy, who was sleeping with her as well.
Right.
Both of them, both of the Kennedy boys.
He was the last one to speak to her and see her
That's
alive.
what it was, and that's why they think it was the Secret Service who did who took care of her because she was getting ready to mouth off
Yeah, she called Peter Lawford the night before the night that she died.
and said she's going to spill it.
She said she's going to spill the beans on everything.
Yeah.
Because she kept a diary.
Right.
And I wrote a paper in 1971. I was 16 years old, and I wrote a paper. Was Marilyn murdered or was it suicide?
Yeah.
So I was a straight A student. So my teacher said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't believe she committed suicide." And he looked. She goes, "No, she committed suicide."
Do you know she had a higher IQ than
Einstein. Oh yeah, no.
Yes.
I did a
She
lot
was
of
a
research on
genius.
Marilyn.
She was a genius.
She was very smart. So
She played the dumb blonde thing. That was her bit.
well, you know how I was able to get the A in that class? I had to prove my hypothesis.
No shit.
Yeah. Back then, you could buy autopsy report of any celebrity for like $10. I bet you didn't know that.
You got it?
I bought the autopsy report.
still have it?
No. You're talking 1971.
Why not? You can't get it anymore, right?
You can't get it anymore. And Namaguchi was the medical examiner. And he was looking for all kinds of ways that she died. And he couldn't find it. So for years, I couldn't figure out how she died. But I showed that she couldn't have swallowed the pills that they said in the paper. Well, back then, they said she swallowed 100 sleeping pills, and that's how she died. Well, back then, those pills had dyes on them. So it would stain your esophagus. And it takes 8 hours to digest. Her stomach was empty.
Yeah.
So they covered it all out but the public bought it all.
Of
She
course.
overdosed.
Public bought-
So Sam Giancana's son wrote a book in the 90s saying how Marilyn died, and he was attributed to Sam Giancana that he had a pharmacist on staff from University of Chicago, and he created a suppository that they gave her. And
They could kill somebody with.
well,
I mean, that would-
remember when you were a kid, if you had a fever, what did they give you? Suppository.
Not me, baby.
Well-
Nobody messes with my ass.
Well, that's why mine's probably
shut
why.
up.
But because it's such a vascular region, it gets into your system
yeah,
right
yeah,
away.
yeah.
You can't detect it.
Yeah.
So that's what I believe that she died
no
of.
needle
He
marks.
wrote the book. I bought the book, gave it to somebody, and they never gave me the book back.
So
and
what's
if you
it
go
called?
back,
What's the book called?
you just got to look up Sam Giancana's son about
Okay, all
Marilyn
right. I
Monroe.
gotta get that book.
And I was like, holy cow. That makes, remember, I'm a biology major.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, a suppository, that's ingenious. Because they look for needle marks.
Well, I heard it was in her vagina, but that's
Yeah, it could be the same difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. But think about it, how vascular that region is.
Yeah.
Goes
Yeah.
through your system.
right.
You can't detect it.
Yeah. Cool. Oh well, not cool, but
No, it's not cool, but
not cool, but cool.
wow, that's it. So so you said it was the Secret Service you believed that.
I believe the Secret Service. That did it. I'm not Giancana, but Giancana was gonna.
Well, the rumors were Sam Giancana was trying to, blackmail the Kennedys, get even with him after what John F. Kennedy did. So he was going to expose the Kennedys
Because of
with
what?
Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, because of what?
He made him the attorney general to go after the mob.
Right, but because of what? They helped him get in office.
Oh, Joe
That was-
Kennedy,
Joe Kennedy
had a contract on him. You knew this too.
Joe Kennedy went to the mob
Right.
and said, just to get the nomination,
Right.
because they needed West Virginia.
Right.
And West Virginia is controlled by the mob,
Right.
the Chicago mob.
Yep.
And they went in and said, we guarantee you he's going to get it.
Yeah.
And then when he becomes president, he sicks his brother,
Right.
the RICO thing's going,
Right.
sicks his brother on it.
Yep.
That spelled his death right
Well,
there.
that's exactly what happened, because if you remember Joe Kennedy, how he made all his money was what?
Bootleg.
Booze. Bootlegging. He's got
Bootleg.
the stamp. To this day, they still get money with the stamp on every bottle.
Uh-huh.
So that's when Lucky Luciano wanted to take over that stuff there.
Yeah.
So
Do you
they
see-
put a contract on Joe Kennedy, and he went to Sam J. You help me get my son president.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what I read and
Okay.
paid attention.
Do you ever watch Boardwalk Empire?
No.
Oh, that's
Whoa, that's our cue. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back. This is fascinating, interesting stuff, and I wrote about this in high school.
and they're going to come and get us.
No, who's going to come and get us?
I don't know.
I'm nobody. I'm just a dentist, unless they're anti-dentites. And you're Eric Richardson.
Can you say this stuff on the air?
I don't know what you could say on air.
I'll just cue you by starting some music, and there's no huge rush.
Right.
It's kind of me saying wrap it up, and then when you hear the music again, you just say we're back.
But this is great stuff. I didn't know any of this stuff that you
We
told
could
me.
sit here for days.
Yeah.
What did I tell you how
So one of the things
how his son died?
talk about is like where you're appearing or just something.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I'm not appearing to anybody. Nobody wants me.
that, but the things your future.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, you're the first person I've met that actually understood the whole Kennedy.
Well, the legends. I'm
Yeah.
understanding the legends.
Right.
I don't know of any proof of any of this crap. It's
Well, the only proof I had that she couldn't have committed suicide is I had the autopsy report, and there was nothing.
Well, the only proof that I have and that I even care about is her intellect. Nobody's committing suicide with that
No,
kind of brains.
No. And she was just doing that movie, with
Yeah,
Cary Grant.
No,
Was it Cary Grant?
no,
Who's the actor?
no, Dean Martin.
No, she was doing another movie. She was on set.
Okay,
I thought it was Cary Grant.
The one that Dean Martin was making with her
Right.
was the one that she left to go and sing Happy Birthday to John
Right.
on his birthday.
Right.
And they said they were going to replace her, and Dean says, no, you're not.
Right.
He says, you either bring
but she
her
was
back,
filming, I think
they
it was
fire
Cary
her.
Grant.
Yeah.
And that Sunday night, she called and basically said, I'm going to spill the beans, because Robert F. Kennedy wasn't taking her calls.
Okay. Well, I thought he talked to her.
Cool.
And I was like, holy cow, that makes it run.
Yeah. See, I would have said, holy shit, but you,
I'm thinking,
we can't do that.
We can do whatever.
because they look for needle marks.
I heard it was in her vagina, but that's...
Yeah, it could be the same difference. Yeah.
Meg, I'm gonna fix the aspects.
Yeah.
So,
What do you think?
Yeah, thanks. Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
good.
He does sound like Dean Martin.
That's because
It's
when I'm like this,
I know.
once I get
When you're there,
started.
when you're in,
And who was the guy that just did Elvis Presley, that young kid? How he studied.
What do you remember? You know who Rich Little is?
Oh, Rich Little. Everybody knows who Rich Little is. Yeah.
There's an episode of, I think it's Love American Style.
Love American Style.
They had
Okay.
those segments that they used to do, and he was coming backstage after a gig with after a thing.
Right.
He's coming back. He's coming into his dressing room with a girl, and he's doing Mark of Zorro.
Right.
He's doing John Wayne. He's doing all this kind of stuff, and she keeps saying, "I'm not going to fool around with you until I hear you, Rich Little. Until I hear what Rich Little sounds like." Well, you don't want to hear what he sounds like. You want to hear what... I mean, he would do Tyrone Power. He would do all these voices he was doing. Finally, he's got her on the couch,
Right.
getting ready to have his way with
Right.
her. And she says, nope, not until I hear Rich Little. So he does Rich Little.
did do it, yeah.
And then she says, could you do John Wayne again?
Wow. So you've really done a tremendous amount of research about Dean
I just
Martin.
read, man.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
most
read
people
and listen
don't
to
read.
stories.
Yeah.
Are we back? Anything?
We're always back.
Okay.
We've never left.
Have
Have you gotten up yet?
I was.
I think you're glued to the seat here, Dean.
Where am I? I've been here before.
What are you drinking in there, Dean?
I don't know. You tell me.
Put it on the little table. Put it on the side table. Yeah, push it back. Push it back. Yeah, keep going. So it doesn't upstage it. We're kind of back there. That's fine.
How about that?
Yeah,
That's fine. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Oh, geez. We're having every interference. Lawnmowers.
It's a test.
This is a
They
test.
said it was going to be.
There isn't even a problem. My phone was just going
I
on.
remember them saying that it was going to be in this area. A guy came up to me after we were talking about interacting with the audience.
Right.
I always say at the end of my shows, if you have any questions about Dean Martin, the Rat Pack, talk to me. I'm not running away.
Right.
Let's.
So you always
ask me.
engage
I'm
with the
engaged with the
audience.
audience. They can come talk to me. One lady comes up to me one time and she says, "Excuse me, did you say penis?" I said,
Did you
"No,
say
ma'am."
what? Penis?
I said, "Do you say penis?" And I said, "No, ma'am." She said, "What did you say?" I said, "Penis." She said, "You did say it." I said, "Yeah, I did." She said, "You said penis." I said, "No, ma'am, I did not." She said, "You just told me you did." I said, "No, I said penis." "You said penis." She says, "You said penis." I said, "No, I said penis." And the audience is laughing. They're laughing because I used to say before Everybody Loves Somebody, I said, I'm down in my studio playing with my penis, and and they all cook up. And I said, "The hell, you got a dirty group here." It was clean when it started out. I said, "Hell of a piano player, Ken Lane, my penis." And the T is there. Dean
Right.
was so
He was so good at that.
so good at saying it, but he was always penis.
Right.
The T was there. Pianist. And they're saying, "Marge, he said pianist."
Oh, my
And
God.
you're the one that's saying penis.
You got a dirty mind, lady.
So anyway, the guy comes up to me and he says, "I got a story for you." And I said, "Sure, please tell me." He says, "I'm retired now from the Air Force. I'm Air Force retired. I was in England. I was stationed in England as an air traffic controller, the tower. I was on the tower." And he says, "I heard something that was classified at the time. That was classified. I don't know whether it's unclassified. I mean, you can get it probably.
Right.
Classified at the time. And it's regarding the death of Dean Paul,
Oh, really?
of Dean's son. You know, Dean Paul, the kid,
Right.
was a captain in the Air National Guard.
I did not know that.
And he was flying jets between Las Vegas and L.A.
Okay.
You know, as part of his enlistment. And San Bernardino Mountains is between the two.
Right.
And he's flying over it. A snowstorm comes up over the desert, a snowstorm, and he couldn't see. So you do what anybody does. You go into instruments, and you go to the instruments.
Right,
And
instrument rating, that's what they do,
But
yeah.
you also go to the ground control.
Right.
Will help you, tell you where to go, which direction, because they could see you on radar and know where you're going. And he said they told him which direction to go, to turn,
Right.
to go in, and they told him what elevation to climb to. They gave him the wrong elevation.
Oh, my goodness.
He flew directly into the mountain, never saw it coming.
Wow.
They didn't get him high enough to get over the mountain. They flew directly into the mountain. And he says, "I don't even know if the family
Really?
knows that."
Now, is this public knowledge today or not?
I don't know. That's got it from an air traffic.
just got it from an air traffic. Wow.
From an Air Force.
They're coming to get you, you know that.
I didn't ask
They're
Dina.
coming to get you.
I didn't ask Dina because I'm friends with Dina. I
Right.
mean, I know her. I know her husband.
Wow.
Her husband is a real nice guy. So, but the mountain that he crashed on,
Right.
the specific mountain, was the same mountain that years before a commercial airliner
Crashed into?
crashed into with Frank Sinatra's mother on board.
What?
She died on the mountain. She died crashed.
Really?
Yes. The same mountain that Dean
I
Martin.
wonder if you could go back in the records and see the airlogs of this. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's it's public.
Wow.
Amazing.
You're a wealth of knowledge, Dean.
I'm just full of useless information. That's all I am.
Well, you keep drinking, you'll have more information.
I got too many holes in my brain. All this crap falls out.
So what do you think sets Dean Martin apart from everybody to last this long?
I don't think that many people remember him.
Really?
I think I have to go up to some people, especially young people, and go, said, "Do you know who Dean Martin is?" No.
Oh, heck, they don't even know who John F. Kennedy is.
No, and
Forget about it.
I said, "Do you know who Frank Sinatra is?" "Oh yeah, we know Frank Sinatra."
Yeah.
I said, "Dean was his best friend."
Yeah, they didn't know that.
I said, "You ever hear the Rat Pack?" And I said, "I sing," because they asked me. They said, can you sing any Frank? Because they want to hear New York, New York.
Right.
They want to hear My Way and stuff. My wife hates it when I do Frank Sinatra's, but
Why?
She doesn't like Frank Sinatra.
Oh.
But she doesn't like me doing Dean Martin half the time. But didn't say that. I'm still married, right? Yes.
Since 1978.
Yes,
That's
since
pretty impressive.
78. She hadn't caught me.
We're dinosaurs, you know that, don't we?
She hasn't caught me yet.
Hold that thought.
She hasn't caught
We're
me.
going to take a quick break.
Again?
Again. We have to take quick breaks.
Those pills only last so long, pal.
All right, I'm going to give you some more.
Cool. Do you want to talk about, like, things?
Do you want to talk about where you're performing, where you're going to be next, anything? Whatever you want to talk about.
See, it's hard.
I find it fascinating. This is
hard to say where I'm gonna be.
Like, cause you're like, how much Rat Pack stuff are you doing? How much solo stuff or like the show?
I'm doing a show in a private show at a golf course, country club on the 6th of December.
But you know what you
On the
were talking
8th of
about?
December, I'm doing the Cape Cabaret.
What about the
and
Sunburst?
Cape Coral.
Right,
Sunburst is gone.
You were talking about you're getting together with the Jerry Lewis guy.
Yeah.
So maybe like 6 months or a year from now, when you could have a clip that you could use. So
Yeah.
like, just even if it's hot in the sky stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like clips
Yeah.
for something that you might be able to use in the future.
Okay, well, I mean, I've got some things that I can be
Yeah,
booked
so
for
make,
that.
like I'm making commercials for my sketch comedy group that we haven't even.
Right, but
you don't-
I could talk about the fact that I not only do all these presidents and stuff that I
Right.
do, that, that's not, but Dean Martin, I do Dean shows. I can do a Dean show where I can sing Frank. I can take the wig off and do Frank.
Wow.
I can do
We
Frank.
should talk about.
Yeah.
I
So
can
you
do
have-
I can do Frank.
Right.
I can do Dean and Frank. I can get a Dean Martin, and I do Dean Martin. I got a Frank Sinatra. I can do Dean and Sammy. I can do Dean, Frank, and Sammy, an entire Rat Pack.
Right.
Not
Right.
Well, hold on,
entire.
but like, like Greg Thompson interviews you at the end. This
Yeah.
is a much better setting to have that, and much better.
Right. Can we take that out of the?
Yeah.
Can we edit that out of the other thing?
Yeah, but you can have multiple versions.
Because I don't know if I want all that crap with.
Oh, yeah.
He can do whatever you want.
Whatever, okay.
He's creative. Now, you're hooking up with Jerry again when? When are you going to do this thing with Jerry?
Anytime somebody hires me.
But you haven't done it yet. I'm gonna go.
No, I
into-
haven't redone it yet. Remember, this is
Right.
this is
This is a new.
this is a
Right, but you'll have the segment.
reunion.
Okay, I'm
It's
gonna bring
actually
it.
it's called Martin and Lewis Reunion. The crooner and the comic are back.
Okay, so I'm gonna play a few seconds.
Few seconds. I know exactly what they're saying.
When this ends, you're back.
What's that? So, Dean, we're back, and I understand. You're going to have a reunion.
Of sorts, a reunion.
So tell
a
us about this
of sorts.
reunion.
Well, you remember I told you that I had a young man, my partner, Matt Masis. We did a Dean Martin,
Right.
Jerry Lewis tribute
Right.
together, and then we separated for a period of time, like 5 years. We've sort of reunited and talked about bringing it back, the Martin and Lewis thing,
So
because
this
we
is
were
on the
very
horizon.
popular for the 2 or 3 years that we were doing it, back in the early 2010,
Okay.
9, 10, that kind of thing. And I don't want to talk about how it's going to be, but basically it's going to be when Frank reunited them at the 1976 telethon.
Okay.
It's going to be like, hey, Jerry, why don't we do some stuff together again? Which never happened in real life,
Right.
but we can rehash all the stuff and stuff that we did, that they did separately before. We can bring on and do stuff.
What caused them to break up? I don't remember.
Jealousy.
Jerry was jealous, wasn't
No, not jealous. Jerry became jealous after the breakup because everybody thought that when they broke up that Jerry was going to be the star, continue to be Wunderkind.
Right.
He was going to be the big deal because he could direct, he could do all that stuff. But Dean shot to a higher level than from nowhere. Just shot to a higher level than Jerry ever had.
What caused them to break up? Because they were such a
Well, they
dynamic
were-
duo.
When they became so popular, their wives were. They were like a social club in wives because they were so close, almost brothers. And Jerry was married to Patty. Dean was married to Betty, his first wife.
Okay.
So they were always Betty and Patty were always hanging out together.
Right.
Dean came to Dean and Jerry did a show at the Coconut Grove down in Miami.
In Miami, okay.
Miami, Coconut Grove.
Yeah, I know Coconut Grove.
Sitting in the audience
Right.
was the Orange Bowl, the current Orange Bowl queen,
Okay.
which was Jeannie Beegers,
Okay.
and her parents were sitting there. And Dean, the eyeballs just popped out. I mean, he was
Smitten.
He was smitten.
Wow.
And the two of them started to do it. And
Was she much younger than him?
a little bit, maybe. He wasn't that. He wasn't that old at the time. Remember?
But he was still married.
But he was still married, and he had four kids, 5 kids. He had 5 kids by then, and of course his wife had to stay home with the kids all the time. So he's out there running around on tour. So anyway, he hooks her up with an apartment out in L.A. and goes to divorce. So his wife Betty crawled into a bottle
Oh, wow.
and eventually drank herself to death. Dean married Jeannie. They adopted the children. Now they got that, and they had 7 of them, so they got 3 more together with
3
Jeannie.
together, wow.
So they had 7 kids altogether. And but anyway, Patty did not like Jeannie because her best friend was Betty,
Right.
blah, 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 and so forth. So it started to become strained. The camps, they had their own camps, right? Jerry's camp was always telling me, you don't need him.
Really?
Dean's camp says, you don't need him. You can, you know, and it just got to be a strain.
Yeah.
A strain on the whole thing. Jerry's father was a comedian in the Catskills.
The Poconos, yeah. No, the Catskills.
The Catskills. He would always say to Jerry, you and I ought to go out as a team, as a comedy team, because you don't need him. We could do it together. And there was always these little things in the background. So anyway, the last film, they tried to break up once, and the powers that be said, you cannot break up because your partnership is worth so much. The money involved. Remember, I told you they're the greatest comedy team in the history of
I did not know that. You educated me on
they
that.
had more. They had contracts
Right.
with Hal. Well, I don't remember. I forgot the name of his name. The producer of their films. The first film was My Friend Irma. Was doing all these films together. They're not that good at films either, by the way.
No.
If you're watching them, but they were very popular.
And they made
And
money.
in fact, the Caddy, Dean Martin, did a song in the Caddy that Jerry had written for him as a gift
Wow.
to put in there. And Dean didn't particularly like the song, but it was "When the moon hits your eye like a big piece of pie."
Jerry
That's
wrote
amore.
that?
Jerry had it written for him.
Had it
He
written
commissioned
for
it.
him.
He commissioned that.
That's
song.
Amore. Wow.
That's for Dean.
Wow.
You know, and Dean would always used to say, you know, he says, I sold about 4 million records. If you don't believe me, come over to my house. I'll take you down the cellar and I'll show them to you. They're all down there. But sorry, these jokes just keep coming.
I did not know
So
that.
anyway, the last film that they were going to get ready to make was The Delicate Delinquent.
Ooh, I don't even remember that.
Okay, you will in a minute. In the premise of this film, Jerry's directing. Jerry plays a juvenile delinquent in the streets of New York. Dean Martin is a cop.
Okay.
They befriend each other, and the hilarity that ensues with the JD and the cop.
Right.
Dean shows up on the set to shoot it wearing this beautifully tailored suit. And Jerry says, Dean, you're late. Get to wardrobe. We got to start shooting. Dean says, well, shoot. He says, I'm ready. He says, no, Dean, you're a cop. You're a cop. You got to be a cop. Where's the uniform? Dean says, I don't need a uniform. He pulls his suit back, and there's a shield on his
He's a
on his
detective.
place. He's a detective. He says, I'm not wearing a uniform. He had made a promise to his cronies, his mob cronies back in Toledo,
Right.
that he would never portray
Wow.
a uniformed cop in a film.
And he never did.
Oh, he did. He did later on in the Smokey and the Bandits things. He played a priest in that. He played, but he did later on, but not now. He was still
pretty much engrossed with that group.
with that group.
Yeah.
He said, "I will never dishonor that." So Jerry says, "Dean, you're a beat cop. Go back to the wardrobe, change, or else." Dean says, "All right, Jerry." Turns around and walks through the door back into the where the wardrobe
Right.
was. Dean still doesn't. What's taking Dean so long? How long does it take to put a damn uniform on? Where is he? He's gone. What do you mean he's gone? He's in his car. He drove away.
Wow.
And Jerry says, "That's it. I'm done." And he hired Darren McGavin to take his place. So now the Delicate Delinquent stars Jerry Lewis and Darren McGavin. You know, Kolchak,
Yep.
right?
Wow, that's how it happened.
Kolchak and Christmas Story. You know,
Oh,
yeah,
my
he was got him. So the last show that they did together, stage show, was at the Copacabana in New York City. They did 2 shows. Everybody knew it was going to be the last. It was, I believe, it was 10 years to the day of their first time they were together at the 500 Club in Atlantic City, where they got their start.
Right.
First time, and they came onto the stage, and at the end of there were 2 shows. The first show, Jerry walks into Dean's dressing room, and says, Dean, he says, "Look, I love you, Dean, and I know you love me. We're like brothers." And he says, "There's always a love-hate thing going on here. You know that I love you. Just tell me that you love me, Dean." Dean says, "You're nothing but a dollar bill to me, kid."
Seriously.
Slammed the door on him.
Wow.
Wow. They were celebrities in the audience because this was going to be the last.
Right.
They knew it was going to be the last one. And Jackie Gleason gets up on stage between the shows and said, "These guys are a national treasure. We cannot let this happen. We must do everything we can to make sure that these guys go on forever."
Right.
But he made an appeal to the audience to let nobody left.
Wow.
The second audience couldn't get in because nobody from the first audience would leave,
Wow.
because they wanted to see everything they could.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was
it. That was the last time
and
together.
they didn't speak to each other. Well, they did a couple of times because Dean tried to talk to him.
He tried to patch it up?
No, he didn't try to patch it up. He just tried to smooth it over a bit.
Well,
And it was like 20 years.
okay.
The telethon.
We'll talk about the telethon in a minute.
Perfect. That was exactly
write a
how you go to commercial.
You could write a freaking book.
Who?
You want to read a book? You want to read a really good
Yeah.
book? Everybody loves somebody sometimes, but not all the time.
Okay.
I think it's called that. I think it's written by Arthur Marx. Arthur Marx, who is, it's a hard book to find. Arthur Marx is Groucho's son.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wrote a book about lots of celebrities, but one of them was Dean and Jerry.
Arthur Marx, and he wrote it about...
It's called Everybody Loves Somebody, something like that.
You can find all these books. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, I've collected them over the time.
Have you?
One of the other books is really good. Is Backstage at the Dean Martin Show by.
So I think I'm going to cut. I think we got
You got plenty.
tons, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you want me to close the show, don't you? No? Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, let's close the show.
You know how we do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you want me to leave?
You want us to do it with the meatballs?
yeah.
Okay.
Why the hell not?
That's okay. We also got to sit...
Like, you know, it was a pleasure having you, and you're appearing
Right.
here, like, just talking about where you're appearing, you know, people can see you. Is there a website or something they could go to?
Or yeah, it's a website, but we can
Yeah. So
we can put
just
that on.
Put the website below.
Yeah.
put the website.
Okay.
Something like that.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you really can't find me. Most of you can find me on Facebook.
That's how I found you. Tell me when to come back. Right after the music? He keeps changing things up.
Yeah, I got a good way to close this if you want.
Let's do it.
Because we'll talk about that book. Backstage at Dean Martin Show.
Okay. Well, it's been my sincere pleasure to have you on the
great.
show. You've been great.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, you sound like Dean.
Yeah.
You sing like Dean. You look like Dean.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you where my tagline comes at the end of my show.
Okay.
How to show. And any of my shows, I'm going to be around Florida. I'm going to move to Florida eventually.
Good.
So I'll be around here.
Good.
I'll be all over the place.
It's a great state.
And in fact, I'm doing a show on the 8th of December at the Cape Cabaret, a Rat Pack show at the Cape Cabaret, a Christmas show at in Cape Coral.
In Cape Coral.
Cape Coral.
Okay.
It's called the Cape Cabaret. Be Dean, Frank, and Sammy's holiday extravaganza or whatever he's calling it. It's mostly Frank.
Right.
Frank tells me what to do,
Okay.
but nobody tells me what to
Nobody
do.
tells you what to do.
But anyway, I told you that I talked to a gold digger.
Right.
She hooked me up with Lee Hale, who was Dean's stand-in.
Okay.
He wrote a book called Backstage at the Dean Martin Variety Show.
Okay.
That show ran for 9 years. Now, every time, at the end of every one of Dean's shows, he ended up saying, and I'll do it for you. Everybody loves somebody, and I love all you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Take care of each other. And keep those cards and letters coming, and I'll see you next week. The last show, he couldn't say that. He knew it was the last show.
Oh.
He says, everybody loves somebody, and I love all you. This is on TV now.
Right.
Everybody loves somebody, and I love all you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Be good to each other. Keep those cards and letters coming. And now I got to take a leak. And turns around and walks off the set. And that was it.
And that was it.
And that was it. And Lee Hale talked to me on the phone. He says, I never said that. I said, it's in your book. And then I realized the book that I had bought on eBay was a trade edition. It was one that it was sent out. It still had the letter in it. Please read this book. Send us any comments and stuff so we can make adjustments and edits
Really?
on the thing. So I said it probably was in your first galleys or whatever that they put out. And
The first treatment, yeah.
first
that they put
treatments,
out.
they got it. So anyway, basically at the end of all my shows, the last song I sing is, everybody loves somebody sometime. And although my dream was overdue, your love made it well worth waiting for someone like you. Everybody loves somebody, and I love all you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Be good to each other. Take care of each other. Be safe on your way home tonight. And if you happen to be driving a car, I hope you run into Jerry Lewis.
Well, you know what we say?
Yes.
When life gives you meatballs,
When life gives you...
yeah, put your hand out. Meatballs.
Oh, are they
You
good?
got-
Are they good?
You got booze here, we got meatballs. What do we say when life gives you meatballs?
Oh,
Forget about it. You're killing me here.
Forget
about it.
I didn't see the cue card. Where the cue
I
card?
think that was funny without the thing. I like it better that way.
Oh, because it's different.
I know.
Because it's different. Where's the sauce? Oh, I got it.
We got sauce here. I made food.
Do you know what? Do you know where that came from?
What?
If you happen to run into Jerry Lewis, I hope you're driving a car.
No, I don't know where that came from.
Frank Sinatra.
Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra coined that at the end of his shows when he was running around with Ava Gardner off of his
Right.
wife Nancy.
Right.
He was cheating on Nancy with Ava Gardner.
They all do this.
Dorothy Kilgallen.
Okay, I don't know. who
Dorothy
that is.
Kilgallen, who I heard a rumor that she died under strange circumstances. They didn't know whether it was a mob hit on her or not. But Dorothy Kilgallen was a columnist, right? And she would write stuff in the, I don't know, New York Times, one of the New
Like
York
the variety section.
the New York tabloids. She would
Right.
write stuff, and she was lambasting Frank Sinatra for running around on his wife, and it pissed off Frank Sinatra. So at the end of his show, he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, be safe on your way home tonight. If you happen to run into Dorothy Kilgallen, I hope you're driving a big car."
Wow. Did he like Jerry Lewis, Frank Sinatra?
Oh, Frank.
He put up-
Yeah. This is Frank Sinatra. You know, Frank Sinatra was, what do you call it when you don't like being alone? You always have, huh?
Lonely?
Yeah, lonely. You always had to have people around him. He could never eat alone.
He could never eat alone?
Eat alone. He partied till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
and he always keep people in his penthouse, going. But he always had dinner, restaurants, but he never wanted to eat alone. He always invite people to eat with him.
Wow.
Calls up Jerry Lewis one time because knew Jerry was in New York, and he was in New York. Jerry, meet me. I don't know, with Patsy's. It could have been at Patsy's.
Could have been Patsy's, yeah.
Could have been Patsy's. You ever been there? Patsy's?
Yep.
Yeah, it's Sal.
Yep.
Sal is nice.
Is he still there?
Yeah, he knows me on Facebook. I'm friends with him on Facebook. Sal.
I sent you a friend request. So when you see Carl Valancioni, that's me.
Oh, I don't take friends. Okay.
You don't take friends either,
Yeah,
huh? You're killing me here.
No,
He's killing me.
but,
He doesn't take friends.
Frank called up Jerry and said, Jerry, I'm having dinner at such a restaurant. He says, I hate to eat alone. Could you come and have dinner with me? Jerry, Frank Sinatra's asking me to come to dinner. Sure,
Wow.
I'll come. He shows up, right? There's a table for 20.
Oh, my goodness.
And Jerry, the only seat that's open is the one at the other end of the table from Frank. He's nowhere near Frank.
Oh, my.
He's at the other end of the table, but he's close to the door. So at one point, he gets tired of it, and he gets up and walks out. He leaves. And then he comes back in about 15 minutes and sits back down in his chair. And about 5 minutes later, the door opens, and Western Union Telegraph kid comes in. I have a telegram from Mr. Frank Sinatra. And Frank said at the other end, yeah, kid, come on, I'm down here. The kid goes down there, he opens up the thing, opens up the envelope, and it's from Jerry. It says, hi, Frank, pass the goddamn salt. Jerry.
I'll tell you something about you probably don't know about Frank Sinatra. Did you ever hear Venereo's pastry shop?
Is that a disease?
No. Venereo's.
In Hoboken?
No, it's in Manhattan.
No.
It's an Italian pastry shop.
Yeah.
That's where Sinatra would get his pastries.
Oh,
Then
Venereo's.
fly him into Palm Springs.
Yeah,
How I found out, because I told you I found out who my father
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot more that I'm not going to get into on this show. But Venereo's was the top pastry shop. So any time I go to New York, I'd go there.
Yeah.
And it was a little room, no bigger than that door over there, with a curtain. And my father said, when Sinatra would come into town, he would go in there with his group and have their cappuccino, the espresso.
yeah.
Nobody knew they were there. There was a back door.
Very good back room.
I thought my father was BSing me.
No, he did that.
So I went to Venereo's and I saw it and I opened it up and sure enough, nobody was there.
Nobody was there.
But I got yelled at. They go, what the hell are you doing?
Oh, yeah.
But sure enough, what he said was right. It was described exactly.
Well,
how it was.
Patsy's has that side staircase.
Side staircase,
that
yeah.
goes up, and that's how the private room that was only Frank's.
Oh, I didn't
There's a
know
private
that.
room
Yeah.
upstairs that was only Frank's
Wow.
for Frank to come in.
Well, that's Venereo's pastry shop.
And everybody goes there. Tony Danza goes there.
Everybody goes to Patsy's.
Goes to Patsy's. He's got pictures with everybody. Sal has pictures with everybody.
Wow.
And he's a friend of mine on Facebook.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
Okay.
he'll talk to you. He says, Eric, what do you want? I said, bolognese. Speaking of food.
We have food here. I got some sausage sliders.
Oh,
And then I made a meat sauce with sausage in it.
okay.
And you got the pasta you can put over it.
Were you running this?
I'm recording everything.
He records everything. And then what he does, what I love about Tom, he records everything we're talking about, even stupid stuff.
Stupid.
Then when he puts everything together, you sit there and go, oh my God, this is unbelievable.
I'm not gonna sit here picking my ass, or
Yeah,
something.
well, he won't put that on there.
Okay.
But no.
That's the only ass I got.
Yeah, well,
I just think of some other
at
weird
least you
shit.
didn't take a suppository.
Weird shit. Yeah, not hers.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you believe the Secret Service and the things that I heard. If you get the Sam Giancana's son's book, he's basically saying Sam Giancana had the hit put on Maryland because they wanted to expose the whole Kennedy thing.
Oh, okay.
Robert F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, because Peter Lawford was the go-between.
Well, I'm happy that it wasn't the Secret Service then.
Yeah, see, I always believed it was Sam Giancana. When I read the book, it made sense to me. But who knows? You can write anything in a book.
Yeah, no, you can write anything.
But this has been great. We went long. I think we went the longest with you than anybody.
Well.
My last one was Dean Napolitano. I told you, the comedian.
Yeah.
And I met him at a comedy little club, and he's standing in front there.